Okay, so this session is just going to provide a really quick overview of some of the features of some interactive presentation tools and a discussion of why you might want to use them or when you might want to use them. We're just going to look at a few and just go over some of the options. Specifically, we're going to look at Slido, Peridek, Mentimeter, and Nearpod, and just talk a little bit about their features and costs and what they can do and what some of their limitations are. And each one of these is designed to work as a way of engaging with an audience. That audience could be a professional audience, or it could be a class. One of the advantages of these approaches to interactive presentations is that there's no cost to the participants, which could be, again, if you're giving a professional presentation, the participants don't have to buy an app to connect or buy a device to connect. And the cost, though, is often borne by the presenter. And we'll talk a little bit about the cost of each of these and what their features are and why you might consider using them. There are others. These are just some of the most popular ones. And so let's talk about each of these. Slido. Slido allows you to engage in polls with an audience. It allows you to do surveys of an audience. It has essentially like a whiteboard app where you can do brainstorming, and you can also have quizzes that are set up that are graded and so forth. The price varies between $0 and $12 per month. The free version can actually work with a lot of class activities and certainly can work with many conference presentations. I know at the online learning conference, for example, Slido is one of the tools that they recommend to engage your audience if you're giving a formal presentation there. And that was actually the first time I saw it a few years ago when they recommended this as an option. And if you have the free version, you can connect to up to 100 participants. Certainly that worked for most of the conference presentations I've done in economics. And it would work with many of our classes. It wouldn't work with my large class, but it would certainly work with smaller ones. And in any given event, which was essentially any given presentation, you can have up to 3 polls of the audience, 1 whiteboard type brainstorming activity, or 1 quiz per event. And for many purposes, that would be fine. And if you want to eliminate those restrictions, you could just pay $12 a month for as many months as you need. Could be just 1 semester. It could be just a one-time payment if you're using it with a conference, and just use it. That Slido integrates with Google Slides, with PowerPoint, and with Microsoft Teams. And basically what it does is it will import materials from Slides or PowerPoint and add these activities directly to that. So again, you just create your presentation as you normally would. You add Slido to it, or you connect it to Slido, and there's an app there's a connector that you can download that will basically let you switch back and forth between the Slido interactive tools and your regular presentation. So you just click on the button, you activate the things you've set up in advance, and then you switch back to your presentation when you're done. It works pretty easily, and it's not terribly expensive. Peridek is one that many people were using, but the costs have gone up a little bit. Peridek works with Google Slides. It lets you have text responses to questions, free response questions, numeric responses, multiple choice, and web slide questions, which is a little bit different. This is quite a bit more expensive now than it was originally. The free version will work, but I believe it has a 30-day free restriction. So if you want to use it for just a single use, it works really well. But if you want to use it beyond a very short time period, you pretty much have to pay for the full version. And at $150 a year, it's a pretty steep price to pay for faculty. So I had the free version. I tried it. It worked really nicely, but I'm not really going to pay $150 for it because for me, it's not worth it. But if you try it and you find it useful, it may very well be worth purchasing. It works. Peridek is integrated with Google Slides. You add it on as an add-in to your Google Slides instance, and it puts up a little sidebar where you can activate any of the activity, and it will import slides and materials from other programs. So for example, if you normally use PowerPoint, you can suck that into a Google Slides and then present your PowerPoint from within Google Slides using Peridek to give you that interactivity right within your presentation. Mentimeter is one that many people have been using at conferences. It offers polling, as most of the others do as well. But what's somewhat unique about Mentimeter is you can have people submit free response questions, and you can generate a word cloud from there. So, if you have students respond with their perceptions about some concept and you have a large enough group, you can create a word cloud where it will highlight, emphasize, make bigger the words that show up repeatedly, and you can get a feel for the overall responses. And that's really nice when you have a large enough audience. You can do quizzes and you can do some Q&A type stuff where people will submit questions during a presentation that you then respond to. The price of this, again, is there's a free version of this that's free, or you could pay up to $10 a month. And again, you could only use it periodically if you're just going to do it for certain presentations or conferences, or maybe if you want to play with it for a particular class. The free version in any slide deck will allow you 2 question slides and up to 5 quiz slides in a presentation. And the paid version, though, so basically the free version will give you the interactivity, but won't let you create the rest of your presentation. So you have to switch over to Mentimeter and back. With the paid version, for $10 a month, you can import slides from PowerPoint and so forth, and you can save the results and export them to Excel. Another platform that a number of people have been using, I just saw a presentation on it at CIT with someone from Stony Brook who's been using this. And Nearpod is an interesting platform where it will import your slides, allow you to add interactions to that, and it actually shares the slides and results with the students in the Nearpod app. So that way, students can actually see the slides right on their own mobile device that you're presenting, and they can interact right from within the slide deck. And you can also set this up so it could be viewed asynchronously. You could add audio files to it and so forth. You can build essentially a tutorial presentation on a topic with some quizzing and so forth that students can interact on their own, or you can use it in real time in a class session. And it provides some drawing capabilities too, where students can draw on the screen. And again, it's got a decent sort of whiteboard app. I know I gave a presentation using Nearpod yesterday, so I think at least Janet had seen this at that time. And the price, there's 3 price points. The free version will allow 1 active presentation at a time, and at most 40 simultaneous participants. So it works with a class of up to 40 students, and you can only have 1 active presentation. So if you just want to use Nearpod for a conference and you have, less than 40 people attending your session, Nearpod would be a really good choice. The $120 version will work with up to 75 participants and offer an unlimited number of slides and sessions. If you really want to spend a lot of money for $349 a year, you can have up to 90 students. So I wish I had the capabilities of Nearpod in my classes, but since my classes generally run larger than 90, you'd have to pay for a custom negotiated thing, and that's just incredibly expensive. So Nearpod offers a lot of interactivity, and it works really effectively, and it lets people engage with your presentation right on the screen, where they can draw on the screen, they can add notes to it, they can engage in interactive discussions on a whiteboard or brainstorming activity. And all of these offer a number of ways of engaging the group that you're working with and giving them a chance to respond to prompts that you've asked, or to ask questions, or to do other things. So that's all I really have. Oh, and I mentioned that is streams of presentation to the student device. And that's really all I have for this session. I just wanted to remind people that there are tools out there if you want to do some type of interaction in a presentation, either in a class or at a conference, but you don't want to make students have to pay for something or register something. There are tools available that will give you this interactivity at no cost to your students. So that's a very quick overview. Any questions? This is a 20-minute session because there's not a lot to it. I mean, if anyone wants to explore any of these, I have worked with each of these and have created presentations in each of these. And they're all pretty easy to use, and they have good tutorials and demonstrations on them. My favorite was probably Peridek until my free exploration period expired, simply because it was so easy to use and it worked directly in Google Slides. For those at Oswego, iClicker Cloud may be a better option. And I have a present, the last session was on that, and that will be uploaded. It gives you many of the same types of things from any type of slide presentation. And many students will have an account with them already. And there is at least some chance that it will be free to anyone to use this fall. We'll know more on that within the next week or so. CTS is looking into the option of a site license that will allow up to 1,500 students in a semester to use this. So so that's another option. And again, if you'd like to find out more about iClicker Cloud, let me know. And basically, that's just something that rides on top of whatever presentation you're using. That would not work very well for a conference, though, because conference participants wouldn't have it. If you're thinking about using something for a conference, these are some of the most popular tools that are out there. And there's several others. And, if you just do a search for alternatives to Slido or alternatives to Peridek, you'll get a whole list of other tools, and new ones came out very regularly, especially in the last year as we move to remote instruction. Okay, so any questions? I just wanted to, again, inform people about these options and let people explore it, because otherwise we could very easily spend an hour going over any one of these tools. And I just wanted to give people at least a feel for the variety that's out there. Okay, well, I'm going to stop recording. If anyone has any questions, I'll stick around.